Welcome back to OPTCG Central, your hub for all things One Piece card game related. Before we dive in, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell. It really helps us bring you more One Piece TCG matches and more.
Another great thing about this deck, I mean, every time I've played it, that VV really does put a shift
Oh,
in, doesn't it? The 3 cost VV from EBO2.
that's a very good card. Very strong. Because that was one of the things Zoro Sanji struggled with was a card draw. So the fact that if you have 6 or less cards in hand, you can draw 2 cards, and it's 3 cost, so it's a perfect target to bounce.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you play it, and then you use the leader ability to bounce it back. And I've seen that played so many times. You really need to sort of, if you've got any sort of removal, you really want to focus your efforts on trying to remove that before it gets bounced back into hand. But obviously, it will get bounced back pretty much immediately once you've got those swinging characters on board. So it really is a fantastic card in addition to this. But as you say, so many good pieces to this particular deck as well. So both
Ooh,
players are firing off, as we can see. Um,
that's a very bad start for Ace there, being forced to go first, dropping the EZO, not seeing a hit on the search.
that is
Not a good
rough.
start. Very tough
Benjamin
start.
now. Talking about VV, here it comes already.
Fantastic start play. Dropping it down. Oh, no, sorry. Apologies. Ace went second, but perfectly here on Freedon. Dropping it down, drawing 2 cards. Great tempo. Setting up for potential plays coming.
Absolutely.
As we see
Now,
Ace curving.
yeah, absolutely. 4 Don turn now, and just what you want to see. Marco blocker being dropped down, 6k blocker. And again, talking about draw power, when this particular Marco blocks, you do get to draw 2 trash ones. So it does again have a similar ability to keep your hand. Sorry, you just draw 2. Sorry, when it gets KO'd. No other condition, just draw 2. So it does prove to be very powerful indeed. And we see the Cavendish that we saw earlier on today as well. That did a really good shift when we saw it played in a game earlier today, dropping on the board as well.
And this is what I like to see with Ace players. I found a lot of Ace players very early on in games. They'll play the Marco and they just leave it sitting there. I think it's a very good offensive piece because you swing it, you get a 6k swing off. Your opponents decide to swing in it next turn. Well, it's already sort of become a pseudo blocker, and then you get the 2 cards anyway. And then if they don't, on your following turn, you restand and get that blocker that you probably need in the late game anyway. So it's a very good start here from Elijah.
Yeah, absolutely. As you say, that Marco is it's a blocker, but yeah, why not swing with it? Because it is a pseudo blocker because of the threat of that 2 extra cards being drawn, but a 6k swing every turn as well. You find this with certain cards in different colors. Kukanojo is another perfect example of it. Your opponent doesn't want to swing into it. Magellan in purple as well. You don't want you to swing into it because of the consequences to you as a player as well. So these pseudo blocker type cards with 6k swings can be really, really difficult to deal with.
But we see Jozu being played very efficiently here, bouncing the Ezo back and putting the Cavendish back into Benjamin's hand. This, from a person who's played a lot of Zoro Sanji, this is how you stop Zoro Sanji. If you deal with their board and then they can't do leader ability, you're basically playing with a vanilla leader. If they don't have a body to swing with, they're going to lose that tempo. And against a deck like Ace, they really need to build that early tempo to ensure they can
Yeah,
match the pressure
absolutely.
as the game
So
goes on.
we're seeing the good old trusty blocker law being played there on play. You may pick up a card, then play a 3 cost or less from your hand. And yeah, using that to play the VV out again to be able to utilize VV's on play ability. But as you say, you really want to be dropping 2 sort of medium sized characters that can do 6 or 7k swings this turn. But you're just not there with a Don yet, are you, to be able to fulfill that? So you're at threat of Elijah just potentially
Being
doing the
able
same
to set
again.
up. This is
Yeah,
this is the problem. It's very similar to Zoro Sanji can do really well into Emu, and it can just be aggressive and it can whittle it down. However, into ace, you really need that earlier pressure, because once they start hitting the whitebeards, as we're seeing, you don't have ways to get through a 12k body, because you want to utilize that leader ability. So that first swing's always a 7, because when they restand, yes, you can attach Don, but that initial 7, Whitebeard will eat that all day.
Yeah, exactly. So on curve, Elijah's finding all the right pieces at the right time and just dealing with everything. Marco on 4, Jozu on 6, I am Whitebeard on 8. Really setting this board up and still on 3 life as well. And it's just
Looking
going to get more and
healthy.
more difficult now
Yeah.
for Benjamin to be able to deal with this particular board state.
You know, this is a perfect example of ace flowing at its finest. Whereas Zoro Sanji, a lot more technical, another leader that can make use of the Mihawk into a 4-cost body. You know, in this list, obviously, they may have the 4-cost Zoro that the Zoros run. They'd had the Cavendish, for example. There could be the Arlong that stops a restanding leader. The opportunities are all there, and at the minute, we're just not seeing it. A Vivi and Law on board just isn't enough at the minute to help push through, especially at this point in the tournament. You know, these are clearly good players, both being 5-0.
Yeah, absolutely. So Benjamin really does need to see a swift change in momentum here to be able to get something positive happening. 9 Don turn now. Starts off with a 6k swing with that blocker law into Marco, suggesting that, you know what, I'm going to have to either get you to counter or let you take that 2-card draw off it. But we do have the new gate that can block as well at this point. So
And this is where it's very easy. Yeah.
Yeah. Deciding whether countering at this point or using the new gate's the best option, because if Benjamin wants to use the leader, he's going to have to commit Don to it then to be able to get anything through, which could put back what he might want to fully utilize from this turn. But there we go. We saw the 1k counter with Ezo being placed into the trash as a counter. And divvying, just counting that 9 Don, deciding what he wants to do with it. He's got pudding at the front there. So is he tempted?
See a Hody Jones. We've got the Zoro, the Cavendish. Oh, here it comes. Vanderdecker on play. Trash a fisherman. KO any rested body.
Yeah, absolutely. And deals with that Jozu. Thanks to that, this Van Decken is just such a difficult card, isn't it?
And this is where it becomes dangerous, because Benjamin here now can do the leader effect, bounce the Vanderdecker. If Eli blocks with Whitebeard and Benjamin has another Fishman in hand, Vandecker could come back down and clear Whitebeard off the board.
Yep. 6k into Marco. Do you take it or do you counter? And he is going to counter this by the looks of it. Benjamin really is now playing a good game and going 8 now into the Marco. Really wants to get rid of this Marco.
Just trying to bait the Whitebeard block, I think, here.
Yeah.
But Eli being all the way around it, letting Marco die, get the draw too.
And then drops the Cavendish again, hoping it'll stick this time onto the board and pass his turn with no Don open. And we see Elijah going into a 10 Don turn.
But a very big change in board state now. Both
Absolutely.
Marco and Jozu gone. Ooh, if this is a 9, could we be looking for a searcher drop down into another Jozu to bounce the Cavendish back to hand? Again, just slowing down Benjamin's tempo. I think I caught the looks of a second Jozu in Eli's hand.
It could very well be. And that's potentially what could be happening here. So Benjamin's got to be a bit smart about trying to tech this. Is it a swing into the law or is it a swing into life?
I feel like a swing into board is the great play here, because if he does get rid of the law and then does play the combo of a searcher into Jozu to get rid of the Cavendish, Zoro Sanji essentially is boardless,
Yeah, exactly.
giving Ace such free reign, already sitting at 3 life.
Yeah, he
Insane.
had to counter out that, didn't he? For sure.
But now here's the problem of where you lose the body. But it was a double threat, because if he didn't protect it and let it die, this Whitebeard now could be going for life and putting him down to 1, and you don't want to be in that situation.
Absolutely. So this time it will go. Plays down the Garp for 1. Looking through that deck. 4 cards. Take any card that's 3 cost or higher. Doesn't necessarily have to be a character.
And
Very
we see
versatile
Atmos.
search.
Very good card once again for this matchup. And there we go. We see the Jozu. We see the Garp go back to hand, and the Cavendish back to Benjamin's hand. And once again, what went from being a threatening board on Benjamin's side to 1 on Eli's, now we're looking at Eli with pressure again, and Benjamin with nothing but a VV in board.
Yeah, not looking very promising, is it? What can he do here now? So he's going to drop another VV.
Is he looking for a second Fisherman card to try and drop Van Decker to get rid of that Whitebeard? That would be the ideal play right now, if possible.
Yep.
But having to find that is the problem.
Exactly. Look
He
at the
did.
Don he's available.
There are options.
Does.
Getting rid of that the 2K Fisherman on the set protection for law does mean that he doesn't have it, I think, for Van Decker.
Yeah, it's not looking promising what his hand was, and that VV was there trying to search for it. Obviously, didn't find it. Now he's in a predicament.
There's a chance that you swing with one of the VVs to maybe lead a swing, bounce the other VV to replay it to look for the Fisherman, but then you're being very tight on the play. But we could see, this is, or you just take the VV back, as I was about to say. You play it back out and hope that you find a Fisherman card to Van Deck and that Whitebeard off board.
Yep. So that 6k swing gets countered quite easily. Still on 3 life. Still looking promising. Does he now play that VV again for 3? Bit of a risk, but will he be able to find a Fisherman card?
Sometimes you've got to gamble.
Yep, but no.
Oh, see the Luffy?
Oh, with the Luffy, yeah.
So we get the restand 4. Fantastic card in this list, giving you that restand Don manipulation.
Yeah, such a strong card. Obviously, this is a new card that's been introduced here in OP13. It's got double attack and on play. If your leader is multicolored, up to 4 of your Don cards is active. Then you cannot play characters with a base cost of 5 or more during this turn, which isn't too bad because you're not going to have the Don in this particular position. So you can still play the smaller characters, which Zoro and Sanji does play a lot of.
Plus the double attack, as you said, very strong.
It is indeed, yeah. We're now looking at what Perona's searching for, making a decision as to what to take. Decides to go for a Mihawk.
Such a unutilized card, I think, for the longest time of its printing, whereas now in one of the most meta decks in the format with Zoro, very fitting as master and student as well, I feel.
Yeah, absolutely. It really has become a lot more powerful than it was earlier. Now that there's more slash attributes and decks, especially as you say with Zoro, that it really does give you some good early play, get that board presence up, forcing potentially for you to drop a character and then, your opponent to almost drop a character as a pseudo blocker, essentially, helping nullify some of that early pressure from your opponent. Jozu now, 2 Don attached. Thanks to this new white beard dropping, and we're seeing an 8k swing with leader. That's counted out of. Jozu swing now, 9k. What do you want to do here, Benjamin? Take that one.
And we'll see the Whitebeard blocker come for the third.
Yep. Really putting pressure on here now, down to 0 life.
Plenty of cards in his hand. 3 life for Eli, 1 blocker. He's sitting pretty. There's no other words to describe it at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is maybe where this deck sort of isn't so great, because the Sanji and Zoro, I mean, typically, how many blockers do you play in this deck? I don't think there are any, or not many blockers that you would play.
Well, we already saw him play the Restand Law.
Yeah.
So that's one. I'm going by the fact that we're seeing a lot of Slash. He's probably playing the Kushiro, because then he could protect them if needs be. There's access to Razanante, some builds like running that because that protects rested bodies. There are options, but then the problem with Zoro Sanji is where you're always bouncing bodies, you kind of get stuck with the bodies you end up bouncing when they're smaller.
Yep.
So it's not looking good. You could, if he's got a fisherman, you get rid of the Whitebeard, but then you're still facing down 3 swings next turn. If that's not a 4th swing, because he could drop a Roger now at this point with Benjamin being at 0 life. He could use the Rush Yamato. There's a plethora of options for Eli sitting here right now.
Yeah, looking very comfortable at this point. Benjamin's really sort of trying to figure out a way, just do something that's going to get him another turn.
Eli's disturbance of tempo with the 2 Jozus has really affected the balance of this game, I think.
Absolutely has. Had that as Cavendish stuck, it would have been a lot different, I think. But being able to clear board so consistently has really cost. Seeing the double attack now from that Luffy. And using leader ability to use an I am Whitebeard to counter.
And here we see the Van Decken. He pitches a Hody to get rid of one of the Whitebeards, looking to try and buy himself life.
Yep.
Obviously, we've got to remember, this is where the reason why no Dom was attached to Luffy is it can restand, because he needs to be 7k or less on that initial swing.
So what's he going to do here now?
Another VV.
So VV gets played out, draw some cards. Yes, you've got a rest of 3 Don as well.
I saw a Karumatsu in hand there off that search, so he could bounce the Van Decken and pull it back to pop the Jozu, or if he can try and bait the double attack and get the rested Whitebeard down, could pop that as well, which would be quite big. I'm very confused what's happening here. I am not sure where the best swing will be at this moment in time. We see the counter out.
Another Van Decken coming in here. Dealing with that Jozu.
And there we see a blocker.
Yep.
However, realistically, this is the problem.
That
There
was
we go.
it. As you said, the Roger comes down, and there's nothing you can do if you're down to 0 life and you've just got blockers on board, because those blockers don't mean anything. The minute you block either player's at 0 life, that Goldie Roger wins you the game. So yes, fortunately Benjamin didn't have the pieces in hand needed, and yeah, well, MVP in this match, 2 Josus, I think.
Yes. The Josus were huge. The fact he also drew Atmos, which he never needed to use, but could have also been a great low-end option to bounce the 4 costs. Just stopping Zoro Sanji building any momentum and just disrupting their chain of play.
Yeah, absolutely. And then obviously those Cavendish that didn't stick on board really did cost